Yeah. Onward we go, Greg. How are you feeling about the summer Hikaru died?
I like it a lot. I think their pacing is really good. Their release of information and how they're uncovering the story in the way that they're doing it. It's very slow but methodical and it makes a lot of sense. They know they're taking you for a ride and I don't know. I like it. I like this style. It's not like Go Go Loser Ranger where they have a bunch of random ass breadcrumbs that don't lead anywhere. At least in this show, every scene means something. Whether the scene is up there for like 3 seconds, for 5 seconds, I'm sure like the kid singing in the choir is going to somehow come around and just blow our fucking minds later on in the series. I just like how they are presenting the show. I think it's really good.
We watch a situation in this episode that I didn't think they would take the time to even animate because, like, who cares? But they did, and it's the claw game, like that whole situation surrounding that kid, and then furthermore, in front of the kombini, giving the girl a little doll and her laughing at him, like while someone else is narrating over it. It's like that. I was like, oh, we didn't even need that, but I really enjoyed that happening. Thank you.
Yeah, how they're developing the characters in these little interactions. Like it's crazy because they're doing both at once. They're pushing the main story forward, but they're still developing the other characters with like 3 to 5 second snippets of random scenes in the show, and it's still impactful. How they're telling this story, I think, is some of the best style of storytelling I've seen.
Yeah, and Pinky does bring up real quick the, what is it, Chuisle or Chuisle Mochori or Troy, basically means my darling, my love, or the pulse of my heart, and it's a romantic term, typically in Irish Gaelic, and that was her nickname at the end of $1 Million Baby. And he gives her a little smooch. So apparently, really uncouth. I don't think we needed that part. I mean, I didn't see it, so maybe it was really nice the way he was like, I'm gonna kiss her forehead and be like, I love you and thank you for being my home dog.
It's like, since she's dying, I guess it makes sense that this is...
Send them off with love.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he just like, as her brain is swelling and she's slowly dying, he's
like he's sticking his tongue down her throat and he's like,
yeah. All right. Anyway, what are we talking about? Hikaru. All right, here we go. The summer Hikaru.
Speaking of entering people, the summer Hikaru died.
Episode 5.
This episode and their return to the emotions between Hikaru and Yoshiki is so good.
Episode 5 starts with Kaoru taking a shower, and she's like, oh, what's with these big long hairs on the ground? None of our family has long hair. And then inside of the covered bathtub, she sees Sadako from the ring. She doesn't see her. It's just hair fucking sticking out of the tub. Yoshiki is like, hey, yo, mom, can I borrow a bandana for school tomorrow? And she's like, ask your sister. But then Kaoru jumps out of the shower and is freaking out about the hair monster. Cuts to school, and the kids are still practicing the choir song, and the teacher is like, man, these fucks still sound the same.
Sound like dog shit.
And I feel like this choir scene has happened like every single episode.
It's the third time.
Yeah, the teacher is always just like, are they getting better? Ooh, I don't know.
He's saying what we're saying, and that's like giving you a little character to identify with. Like, I really enjoyed that. I wondered that myself. Was like, I can't tell the difference in the singing right now because I also don't speak any Japanese. So like them singing in Japanese, like I'm not going to be able to be like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. And like the inflection and the accents on the words. Cause I'm just gonna be like, hey, that sounds cool to me. Like literally when I used to listen to fucking Asian Kung Fu Generation, I'm like, nice. And that was it. Like I didn't get the message.
Baseball kid, Yuki, and Yoshiki are making karage in homeroom class, and Yoshiki is mixing up the chicken and looks at his hand, probably remembering the raw chicken feel.
Okay, real quick, one thing. I looked at his hand and it looked like oil on his hand, and I was like, this motherfucking idiot dipped his hand in the fucking oil as it's warming up, and it's like, oh, that was pretty stupid. And then I just like was like, no, I'm the idiot. I'm the dum-dum. It made me laugh.
He's just mixing karage.
Yeah.
I have a note here that Yuki's voice actor is Momo from Dan to Dan. I don't know if you could tell.
I did not.
Yeah, I couldn't tell from the previous episodes, but this episode in particular, when she was talking to the baseball kid and she was calling him like, you're fucking stupid, I was like, oh, damn, that's Momo. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, it is Momo.
Hell yeah.
They finish up and Baseball Kid is like, fuck yeah, I love karage. And Yuki is like, you suck. And then Hikaru comes over and it's like, hey, yo, my group burned the shit out of ours. You want some of this? And Yoshiki is like, nah, I'm good. And then Hikaru is like, why were you staring at the chicken earlier? And Yoshiki is like, the chicken kind of felt similar to when I reached inside of you. And Hikaru is like, oh, damn, get your mind out of the gutter.
I knew the episode was going this direction. As soon as I'm watching this, I'm like, Greg's sultry, sexy voice is going directly into my eardrums as hard as possible. And I already gave consent. There's nothing I can do about this, guys. Like, oh, and I'm not rescinding my consent, Greg.
I knew that this was going to happen, like, the second he was mixing the karage. Because I've made karage, and I know exactly what this is like. And before Hikaru even brought it up, I was like, dude, he's feeling up that chicken. He can't stop.
Dude, it would have been hilarious if instead of him looking at his hand, he's just mixing it and then he's just like fucking punching the chicken a little bit. I'd have been like, whoa, buddy, fucking chill. Take it down a notch.
Or he mixes it, then walks over to Hikaru and then wipes his hand on his shirt.
You're fucking welcome, bitch. And then just walks back over. Just the most extreme situation to what is going on.
Hikaru is like, you want to touch me again? And Yoshiki is surprised.
He's like, I don't know, maybe. That sounds kind
I
of
thought
cool.
it was weird because literally the other kids are sitting right next to them,
They
like,
don't
eating
even-
the food.
They're just like, what the fuck are these two talking about right now? Did you guys fuck at some point? And then they're like, oh, no, we're talking about chicken.
It cuts to the soccer team and they're like, hey, where's Hikaru? And they're like, oh, he said he was definitely coming today. But then it cuts to a classroom and Hikaru is like, Yoshiki, I got soccer practice today. Don't make me wait. And Yoshiki is like, hold on, I gotta mentally prepare for this. Don't rush me. As Hikaru is waiting there with his shirt unbuttoned, vertical slash exposed. Yoshiki reaches in and is like, wait, it isn't as bad as before. And Hikaru is like, you're probably getting used to it. And then Hikaru's eyes turn red and the blob starts to grab onto Yoshiki. And he's like, oh no, it's coming on to me. And Hikaru is like, yup. Then there's a series of flashing lights and Hikaru looking all crazy and the blob is like touching Yoshiki's brain. But then he yells to stop. Yoshiki is like, what did you do? And Hikaru said, well, you were touching me, so I touched you back a little bit. And you need to get used to it. And Yoshiki is like, wait a minute. Are you doing this because it makes you feel good? And Hikaru is like, maybe. And Yoshiki says, you can't be doing stuff that make other people uncomfortable. And Hikaru is like, okay, I get it.
This is so weird because, like, okay, I understand, like, my first time with any sort of interaction like that, I was so inexperienced, I didn't know what was going on, and I really didn't understand. And, like, these two together, obviously in a small town, this is, like, their sexual experience, and all I could think of to, like, make it unawkward is my new button on Twitch where it's that old guy and he's like, oh Lord, I'm about to bust. And I was just like, oh, this is kind of funnier. Yeah.
Hikaru says, I'm not lying to you. I said I'd never lie. Cuts to a narration of Rei talking about mixing karage. And she says, while you're alive, you get used to the thing, but then you become part of it and it'll stay with you for the rest of your life. And you'll also start attracting things from that other world. Which is why his sister saw the monster in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yoshiki's attracting ghosts now.
I mean, he's so sexy with the ghosts. He's just throwing his arms inside the ghosts, fishing around like a jar of mayonnaise or like an empty jar of peanut butter. He's just whipping his arm around and he's like, I need to get all of it inside.
The ghosts heard. They're like, man, I want some of that.
Yeah, get me next. Yoshiki, please help me.
Oh no, don't show me that. Oh, that's
Yeah.
gross.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Let me wrap my hair around that.
Yoshiki looks at the hand grip bruise that Hikaru gave him in episode 3, and he's like, is this shit getting darker than yesterday? Yoshiki thinks back to dinner with his family, and Kaoru said she doesn't want to take a bath because the wig ghost is in there. It cuts to Tanaka listening to more AKB48 and hanging out with his hamster, But then the village elders barge in and are like, how long are you going to listen to this shit and play with your fucking hairy hamster? Tanaka says it's not a hamster, it's his partner. And he's thinking up a plan as we speak. But the elders walk in and they're like, why you got a sword? And why is it all chipped? This won't cut anything. Tanaka laughs and is like, nah, it cuts perfectly fine, but it won't cut humans. And then says that sitting around probably isn't helping, so let's go searching. And he whips out a little bell. Cuts to Baseball Kid, Hikaru, and Yoshiki crane gaming. And Yoshiki gets a labor cat. And Hikaru and Baseball Kid are like, you're fucking the crane game god. The only problem is you're emo as fuck. Hikaru is like, maybe he's got to go take a dip in the pond to wash off that dark aura. And then there's a little scene of Yoshiki dipping in the pond and then commenting that he got 8 hours of sleep. And the other boys just start laughing at how ridiculous that sounded.
I like how they're having like a joint thought process between Hikaru and the other kid. And they're just like both thinking the exact same thing. He's like, wakes up and he's like, oh, dude, that was sick. I got 8 hours of sleep and I'm really having a good day. And then everyone's like, dude, that's so absurd. And that's how funny that is.
They're walking around the game center and there's a short scene of some random girls talking about harsh labor conditions at the hair growth product factory related to Wig Ghost. Coincidence? I think not. Hikaru asks Baseball Kid why he wanted that plushie and if it was to give to a girl. And he's all nervous and he's like, no, fuck no, man. And he's like, it's for me. And Hikaru is like, fuck no, dude, that's for a girl. They're at the little food court thing and Yoshiki tells them about the Wig Ghost. And Baseball Kid is just laughing, but Hikaru is listening with interest. Hikaru asks if Yoshiki has seen it. And he said no. And Hikaru is like, I'll come over and we'll go inspect your bathroom.
Into your bathroom together. I like how nonchalant and the other kid's just like, hell yeah, dude, you guys do that. I've got this other plan. I've got this really cute doll and I'm going to give it to this lady. And he's like psyching himself up.
Yoshiki and Hikaru ride their bikes and Yoshiki is like, why is there a ghost in my bathroom? And Hikaru says, it's like an impurity of some sort and are bound to show up where humans live. And they're attracted to Yoshiki for some reason. Maybe because he's nice. And Yoshiki says he doesn't get it. And he isn't even nice. Quickly cuts to Baseball Kid and he's meeting up with Yuki and he gives her the plushie and she laughs at him but then says thanks. They get to Yoshiki's house and Hikaru is like, yup, Ghost is in here. And he says that it's one thing for them to pester him, but why are they going after Yoshiki now? Yoshiki is like, oh damn, well what are you going to do? And he says he's going to crush it and eat it like the last one and that he'll protect Yoshiki. Hikaru goes in, and Yoshiki is just waiting outside the bathroom, and there's a clock that shows 6:05 p.m.
Oh, I didn't even see the clock.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's only there for like a second.
Oh, does it show when he goes to grab the door?
It was before he grabbed the door.
Yeah. But I was saying, does it show the clock when he goes to grab the door?
No, it doesn't show the clock again.
Fuck. I want to know exactly how much time he was underwater for.
And after a while, Yoshiki hears the loud gunshot snap sound again, and goes to open the door, but when he grabs the handle, he gets the weird feeling like when Hikaru was touching his brain, but then goes in, and Hikaru is in the bath underwater. Yoshiki goes to see if he's okay, and reaches in, but gets the feeling again, and the hair monster grabs him and pulls him in. And Yoshiki
This is a slurp and glurp.
says it's coming inside of him.
Yeah, this is definitely a slurp and glurp.
Okay.
This is the standard definition when you get sucked into a bathtub by a hair monster. It happens to everybody. I remember my first time.
Yoshiki is in some dream world now, in a rice paddy field, and then brain pillars start arising and engulf Yoshiki as they're saying things like, you suck, and you should cut your fucking bangs, you emo nerd.
Yeah.
Then it cuts to a
That's
young
great.
Hikaru, and he's holding a dead bird, Crowley, and saying it's his fault Crowley died. And Yoshiki is like, nope, not my fault. And then they start blaming each other on who forgot to feed him. Yoshiki turns into young Yoshiki, and they continue the argument of who killed Crowley. And Yoshiki is like, you fed him all sorts of weird shit, so you probably killed him. And then Hikaru drops the box that dead Crowley was in, and dead Crowley just sprawls onto the floor, beak agape, as the kids continue to fight. But then it cuts back to the present, and now Yoshiki is trying to drown Hikaru in the bathtub like a man possessed. But Hikaru is able to push him out of the water and says that the ghost is inside of Yoshiki. Yoshiki bites Hikaru's arm, and he uses the opportunity to have the blob go into Yoshiki's mouth and shoot the ghost out of him. And then he absorbs it with a similar animation as Ray slapping the shit out of the train ghost last episode.
I thought that this ghost got away. That was my theory.
It shot out of his head, and then like a bug or something, it crawled into the corner of the room, and then Hikaru, I assume, killed it.
Yeah, I don't think he did. I think that hair monster got away, and we're going to see it in 10 episodes. It's going to slurp and glurp somebody else.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
They're sitting outside now, talking about the whole thing, and Yoshiki apologizes, but Hikaru says his resistance to those things are weak, and Yoshiki thinks he can only remember his hand drowning Hikaru, and thinks, what if he accidentally killed Hikaru one day? Hikaru says he swore he would protect him, but then this happens, so he feels bad, and Yoshiki asks him why he's doing it, and Hikaru says he just springs into action sometimes. Hikaru is like, well, let's go catch frogs. And Yoshiki is like, man, that's hillbilly. And Hikaru says he likes the village, and there's stuff here you can't find in the city. And Yoshiki says it isn't all bad, he just doesn't feel like he belongs here. And he's like, Hikaru, you think everything is fun? And Hikaru smiles. Yoshiki's mom and Kaoru are home, and Hikaru is like, oh shit, what's for dinner, ma? And she's like, Hamburg steak. And he's like, fuck yeah. And then Yoshiki thinks, what would happen if that monster decided to attack Kaoru or his mom? Yoshiki thinks that Hikaru isn't even human, but maybe if things stay the way they are, he can live a normal human life. And Hikaru is like, this Hamburg steak is going to be fucking fire.
Be lit!
And then the credits roll. But after the credits, there's a scene of the hamster, and it looks like there's an owl flying around. But then Tanaka takes the village elders to some tiny little shrine, and then Tanaka starts to just fucking kick it. And they're like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? And Tanaka says, it's still down there. And then he cuts his own hand and covers the little bell with blood and throws it onto the ground and says it will track down Nonuki-sama. And the village elder guy thinks that Tanaka is bad for our village and he's going to destroy this place someday. But maybe deep down, I want him to.
Very weird phrasing at the very end of this episode. I quite enjoyed the episode. Even in the bathtub scene, it's very weird. Their experience with these monsters going around is intense. Because Yoshiki is completely out of his element. He has no idea what's going on. It seems like Hikaru knows exactly what's going on, and he's just able to fix these things if he needs to. And it's just like, that side of this relationship is just like, it's eventually going to spiral out of control, where everybody knows. And I think this is the whole point, is that Hikaru's comfortable with this. And he's just going to ride it out until it's not comfortable anymore for Yoshiki. Yoshiki is like questioning literally everything and does not understand how to feel. The evolution of these two characters and the dynamic is really awesome to watch.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, how they're developing the story and the characters. Like, they're giving you just enough to question what's going on, but it's enough to like keep you engaged and interested and wanting to watch the next episode. I always use Go-Go Loser Ranger as the opposite of this, but how Go-Go Loser Ranger did it, like, I wasn't excited to watch the next episode. Like, I wasn't really curious on any of the breadcrumbs that they left, because I know that next episode they're just going to jump to another part of the story, and everything that I paid attention to last episode doesn't matter. They proved it to me at the very end of season 2 that literally everything that we watched didn't matter. It was just out of convenience how that story worked out. This is the opposite of that. So if you're looking for a good story, this is one anime to look at.